Sir, now the fourth one, class cast exception. Observe that, sir. The name itself indicates class casting, class cast exception. Okay? Sir, first, it is the child class of, class cast exception is the child class of runtime exception, which is the child class of exception, which is the child class of throwable. You know already, which is the child class of throwable. Okay? Now a runtime exception and its child classes are unchecked. That's why class cast exception is also unchecked exception. Compiler never going to check whether you are handling this exception or not. Sir, when we will get class cast exception, the name itself indicates, right? If you are facing any problem while performing typecasting, whenever we are while performing typecasting, if JVM face any problem, then we are going to get class cast exception. Okay, well, now let me go for a simple example, right? Sir, I have string S is equal to new string of Durga. String S is equal to new string of Durga is there. Now it is a string object, right? I want to typecast this string object to parent object. Are you getting object type? Can you please typecast this string object to object type? 100% pakka, this one is valid. Are you getting 100% pakka itself is valid? So because every child object, happily you can typecast to parent type, no problem at all. Sir, acceptable. Okay, like. But now I have parent object, sir. Object O is equal to new object. Object O is equal to new object. It is the parent object, parent class object. Now I'm trying to typecast this parent type object to child type. String S is equal to string of O, sir. Are you getting? So whenever we are trying to typecast parent object to child type, immediately we are going to get class cast exception. Are you getting? Immediately we will get which exception? Class cast exception, right, sir? Now let me execute this code. Have a look once, sir. Sir, if I consider class test, I'm taking string S is equal to new string of Durga. String S is equal to new string of Durga. Now I'm trying to typecast object O is equal to object of SSR. 100% fakka. It is the valid. It is the valid. Now let me print system.out.println O. Happily it is going to print Durga, sir. Yes. Can you please observe that? Yes. What is there is no compatible method at all. Yes, there is no runtime exception. Happily Durga is the answer we are going to get. Because child object you can typecast to parent type. No problem at all, sir. Now let me do reverse operation. Let me do the reverse operation. Object O is equal to new object. Object O is equal to new object. String S is equal to new string of string S is equal to string of O, sir. String S is equal to string of O. Okay. Now I'm trying to print S value. Have you observed, right? Here danger is there. O is what type, sir? Object type. O is what type? Object type. Object to string typecasting. Object to string typecasting we are doing. So it is not at all acceptable. Observe that. Happily the code compiles fine. But at runtime, what we are getting, sir? Here do you know? Exception. In thread main. Java.lang class cast exception. Okay. Java.lang object cannot be casted to Java.lang string. Remember this one, sir. So object cannot be casted to Java.lang string. Like that we are going to get error. Okay. Well, now, sir, I have one small doubt. If I consider like this, object O is equal to new string of Durga. Object O is equal to new string of Durga. Do you know it is the string child object, string object. But reference we are using parent reference. Yes, parent reference can be used to hold child class object, no problem at all. Now I want to typecast this one string S is equal to string of O. Can you please tell, is it acceptable or not? Please specify, is it going to be acceptable or not? 100% pakka itself is acceptable. What is the reason? Why this one? What the reason for that is? Very simple, sir. Even though it is the object type, but internally, which object is there? String object only. That's why, so there is no problem with respect to the typecasting. If I print SOP of yes, happily itself is valid, Durga is the output we are going to get. Okay, sir, itself is acceptable. Durga, it is the answer we are going to get, sir. Now, let me execute this case also. Object O is equal to new string of Durga. New string of Durga I'm taking, sir. Object O is equal to new string of Durga. Sir, string S is equal to string of O, SOP of yes. Okay, now observe this a bit very carefully. The code compiles fine. Now let me run the code. What the answer we are going to get, sir? Durga, perfectly itself is acceptable. Okay, like so it's very clear for you people when we are going to get class cast exception while performing typecasting. If JVM faces any problem, we are going to get which exceptions are? Class cast exception. Clear? The next one, no class def found error. Regarding what is this one, sir? No class def found error. So do you know no class def found error? It is the no class def found error. No class def found error is the child class of linkage error. Regarding it is the child class of linkage error. This linkage error is the child class of error which is the child of throwable. Which is the child of throwable. Okay, so error and its child classes are unchecked. That's why no class def found error, whether we are handling or not, my compiler never going to worry at all. Okay, so compiler never going to test whether you are handling or not. Okay, like so next when we will get no class def found error. Have you remembered? Just observe the word no class def found error. Okay, sir, now whenever JVM required any dot class file, sir, JVM required some dot class file, that dot class file is not already available. Okay, JVM fails to identify the required dot class file, then we will get no class def found error. Remember that. Sir, what is the example? Just very simple, sir. I'm taking. I have one class is there. Rani is there, sir. Class Rani is there. Okay, like now, sir, I have class Raju is there. Class Raju. Now public static void main string array args. Here my target is just I'm creating Rani R is equal to new Rani. I'm creating an object for Rani class. I'm creating an object for Rani class. Rani R is equal to new Rani. Like this I'm creating an object, sir. Sir, now the point is, take very special care about this one. What the point here is, to run this Raju class, compulsory Rani.class file also must be required, because internally you are creating an object. But whenever we are executing Java Raju, whenever we are executing Raju class, okay, if Rani.class file is not available, then definitely you are going to get no class def found error. Are you getting? No class def found error we are going to get, sir. Okay, a simple example to understand, right? Sir, I want to execute Raju class, but to execute Raju class, compulsory Rani also must be required, because you are creating an object for Rani. But where is the Rani class? If Rani.class file is not available at runtime, then JVM is going to run no class def found error. Is it clear for all of you, right? Now have a look once, sir. Let me execute this one. So here the point is, let me open, okay, Rani.java. Okay, it is there, sir. Very simple. Class Rani, class Rani, curly brace open and close. Sir, what is the name of this file? Rani.java. Similarly, let me open Raju.java file. Yes, class Raju, public static void main, Rani R is equal to new Rani like. Sir, now let me compile Raju class. Let me compile Raju class. Here I am taking, sir, Java C, Raju.java. Yes, I compile. Now, whenever we are trying to compile, so compulsory for this Raju dot class file will be generated. For Rani also, Rani dot class file will be generated. Now, let me cross check in my current working directory. Sir, D:Durga classes. Are you seeing these dot class files? Okay. Sir, Raju dot class file is there. Rani dot class file is there, sir. Okay. Raju and Rani dot class files are there. Now, I want to execute Raju, Java, Raju. Okay, dot class files are available. That's why you never going to face any problem. Happily the program executed. Suppose, let me remove this Rani dot class file. Have you observed, right? I want to remove this Rani dot class file. Okay, let me remove this Rani dot class. Yes, do you want to remove? Yes, sir. Can you please remove? Now, Rani dot class file is not available. Only Raju dot class file is available. Okay. Now, let me run the same program. Have you observed, right? Java, Raju. What will happen, sir? Exception in thread main. Java.lang. No class def found error. Rani internally caused by class not found exception. Okay. Anyway, so no class def found error. Rani we are going to get. So, if JVM required any dot class file, at runtime, if the dot class file is not available, then we are going to get one, no class def found error. Is it clear for all of you, right? With example. Sir, now the next thing what I have to explain, exception in initializer error. Sixth one, sir, exception in initializer error. Sir, it's a very simple terminology. When we will get which is the parent class and so on. Sir, very simple. Exception in initializer error. Exception in initializer error. Okay. It is the child class of linkage error. It is the child class of linkage error. Java.lang linkage error. It is the child class of error. Which is the child class of throwable. Observe carefully, sir. So, linkage error or error and its child classes are unchecked. That's why, obviously, exception in initializer error is unchecked. Remember that. Okay. Next up, when we are going to get this one? For most of the people, this exception is the new exception. Are you getting? But very important for certification exam. Certification. What is the when we are going to get exception in initializer error? Okay, like very simple, sir. So while performing static variable initialization, and static blocks execution. Observe only two cases. While performing static variable initialization and static blocks execution. If JVM faces any problem, if any exception rises, then we are going to get exception in initializer error. Okay, sir, what it means? Can you explain with an example? Like you may ask. Very simple. Have a look once, sir. I am taking class test. Okay, here static int x. Sir, I want to perform initialization for this static variable. What I am trying to take, sir? 10 by 0 I am taking. Are you getting 10 by 0? While performing initialization for the static variable, we are going to get arithmetic exception. So, because of this arithmetic exception, which exception got raised, sir? Exception in initializer error. Okay. Of course, from 1.7 version onwards, main method is the compulsory to start our program execution. That's why let me write the main method also. If I run this code, do you know we are going to get exception in initializer error. Exception in initializer error caused caused by, sir, caused by arithmetic exception. Java.lang arithmetic exception. This is the thing we are going to get, sir. I hope everyone in the position to understand. While initializing static variable and while executing static blocks, if any exception rises, then we are going to get what? Exception in initializer error. Sir, first example. One more example I will discuss. Don't worry, sir. First, let me execute this. Have a look once. Here I am taking just I want to take one static variable, static index is equal to 10. Static index is equal to 10. Assume. Sir, no exception. Happily the code compiles fine. Happily the code runs fine. No problem at all. Sir, now static index is equal to 10 by 0. Happily the code compiles fine. Okay. At runtime, have you observed, right? Exception in thread main, java.lang.exception in initializer error caused by java.lang.arithmetic exception division by 0. Regarding java.lang.arithmetic exception division by 0. Sir, this is one example, sir, where you are going to get exception in initializer error. Okay, well. Sir, now let me go for one more example so that you will get much clarity. Here, see this a bit carefully, sir. I am taking class test. Sir, now public static void main method, string array access, sir. Public static void main string array access. Now my target is, sir, here observe carefully. Let me take one static block. Sir, I am taking static block. Now inside that string s is equal to null I am taking. String s is equal to null. System dot out dot println s dot length. Are you getting SOP of s dot length like this? Sir, now public static void main method string array access. Public static void main string array access. Okay, like this. Sir, have you observed? If you perform any operation on the null pointer exception we are going to get. Okay, but this null pointer exception rises while executing static block, while executing static variable assignment or static blocks. If you are getting any exception, then it will become exception in initializer error. Now observe that carefully. Exception in initializer error. Exception in initializer error caused by java.lang null pointer exception. This is the thing we are going to get, sir. Let me execute this one. Have a look once. Sir, here I am taking, instead of here static variable, just let me take static block. Inside static block, string s is equal to null I am taking. Now system dot out dot println s dot length, sir. S dot length, like this I am taking. Now have a look once. Happily the code compiles fine. What is the answer we are going to get, sir? Exception in thread main, java.lang.exception in initializer error caused by null pointer exception. It is a very, very clear for you people, right? When you are going to get exception in initializer error while executing static variable assignments and static blocks, if we are getting any exception, then we will get exception in initializer error. Clear? Sir, now the next one, illegal argument exception. Regarding what is this one? Illegal argument exception. Do you know illegal argument exception is the child class of runtime exception, which is the child of exception, and which is the child of throwable. Remember this. Sir, now runtime exception and its child classes are, Okay, checked exceptions. Are you getting runtime exception and its child classes are unchecked? Unchecked exception. Obviously, illegal argument exception is also unchecked exception. First thing. Sir, when we will get the illegal argument exception? Very simple, sir. Argument, illegal argument. So usually we are passing arguments to methods and constructors. Correct, right? To methods and constructors. If we are invoking a method with the illegal argument, then we will get the illegal argument exception. The name itself indicates, we are calling a method with the illegal argument. Then obviously we are going to get illegal argument exception. Sir, best example here, observe. I want to create a thread object. Okay, thread T is equal to new thread I'm taking. Just I'm creating thread object. Right? For every thread, sir, priority concept is applicable. Okay, the default priority is the 5 is the default priority. What is the valid range of thread priorities? 1 to 10. Are you getting what is the valid range of thread priorities? 1 to 10. By mistake, if you are trying to set the priority with the other than this 1 to 10, then immediately, so we are going to get illegal argument exception. Observe that, sir, I want to set a priority. T dot set priority. T dot set priority. We are calling which method? Respond. We are calling which method? Set priority method. Set priority, what is the argument, sir? Suppose I am taking 10, acceptable, because 10 within the range of 1 to 10, acceptable. Now I am taking T dot set priority of 100. So we are calling set priority method with the illegal argument. We are calling set priority method with the illegal argument. Then immediately we are going to get illegal argument exception. Remember this one, what that exception we are going to get, sir? Illegal argument exception we are going to get. Let me execute this code. Have a look once, sir. Observe a bit very carefully about this one, sir. So now I am taking a simple example. Okay, thread I'm taking. Let me create thread that is equal to new thread. Thread is equal to new thread I'm taking. Sir, now T dot set priority. T dot set priority of 10. Perfectly acceptable. Okay, let me compile. Yes, friends. Happily the code compiles fine. Let me run. Yes, it's valid. We are not going to face any compile error or runtime exception, right? Now, sir, I want to set the priority as 100. Now have a look once. What is that exception we are going to get at runtime? Illegal argument exception. What is this exception, sir? Exception in thread main, illegal argument exception we are going to get. So the important point what you have to be aware when you are going to get illegal argument exception, if we are calling a method with the inappropriate argument or with the illegal argument, then we will get what? Illegal argument exception. Clear? Sir, now the next one, what I have to explain? Number format exception. Okay. Sir, do you know, just now we discussed about illegal argument exception. Number format exception is the direct child class of illegal argument exception. Sir, it is also illegal argument only. How it is the illegal argument? With example I will discuss, don't worry. This illegal argument exception is the child class of runtime exception, which is the child of exception, which is the child of throwable. You know this hierarchy, sir. So runtime exception and its child classes are unchecked. Okay, well, it is unchecked exception. When you will get number format exception, we are trying to convert string to the number. I am trying to convert string to the number, but the string is not properly formatted. It is not representing a number, then we will get number format exception. So whenever we are trying to convert string to the number, but the string not representing a number, it is not properly formatted, then we will get number format exception. What it means? Observe carefully, sir. Here int I is equal to integer dot parse int of here just some string you have to pass. Regarding just I'm calling parsing method, which argument I'm passing? String. Sir, what value is there? 10. It is a number only. That's why we never going to face a problem. So we are converting string to the number, and the string representing number only. No issue at all. Acceptable, right? Suppose I'm taking int I is equal to integer dot parse int of, here I'm taking instead of 10 ten I'm taking. Oh, string is not a number. Ten, normal word, it's not a number. You are trying to convert string to the number, but the string is not properly formatted. Then obviously you are going to get number format exception. Are you getting that? What is that exception? Number format exception we are going to get, sir. Okay, let me execute this code. Observe carefully. Here int I is equal to integer dot parse int of 10 I'm taking. Int I is equal to integer dot parse int of 10 like this I'm taking. Now it is a valid. Up to this it's a valid. The code compiles fine. The code runs fine. We are not facing any problem at all, sir. Now I'm trying to take ten. Okay, ten like this I'm taking. So int j is equal to, because I variable already I used, int j is equal to integer dot parse int of ten. The code compiles fine. But at runtime exception in thread main number format exception for input string ten. Are you getting? Number format java.lang number format exception for input string ten, like we are going to get. So whenever we are trying to convert string to the number, but if the string is not properly formatted, then obviously okay we will get number format exception. Sir, have you remembered number format exception is the direct child class of illegal argument exception, because it's also illegal argument. Very simple. If you want to observe carefully, here it is the legal argument to this method. But this one is not a legal argument. It is always expecting a number, but you provided ten. It is not legal argument. That's why number format exception by default illegal argument exception only. That's why it is the direct child class of illegal argument exception. Clear, right? Sir, the ninth one, illegal state exception. Sir, the name itself indicates, have you observed, right? Illegal state exception. Sir, it is the child class of runtime exception. Which is the child class of exception? Of course, it is the child class of throwable. Okay, so this one is unchecked, because runtime exception and its child classes are unchecked, right? Now the next, when we are going to get this illegal state exception? Very simple, sir. If you are calling a method at a wrong time, remember this one, if we are calling a method at a wrong time, then we will get a illegal state exception. Best example to understand, sir, a small analogy I want to tell. A person is sleeping, a person happily sleeping, sir. I will go there, I will call, Ray, wake up, shall we go for movie? I want to ask her, can you please wake up? Like, yes, definitely he's going to wake up. He's going to convey whether interested, not interested, like he's going to convey that. So calling wake up method on the sleeping person, acceptable, no problem, right? Suppose assume that a person is dead. Getting a person is dead, sir. Now I'm going there. Array, please wake up. Shall we go for movie? Like this. Array, calling wake up method on sleeping person, acceptable. Calling wake up method on the dead person, not acceptable. Are you getting? Then immediately we are going to get illegal state exception. You are calling wake up method at the wrong time. It is not correct time to call. That's why we are going to get what? Illegal state exception. Okay, like, sir, let me go for a small example, sir, to get basic idea sake, so that you will get much clarity, sir. A thread, I just created a thread. Observe very carefully, sir. I'm taking thread T is equal to thread. A thread object got created. Now I'm trying to start T dot start. Happily thread started. Its life already started, sir. Again I'm trying to restart the same thread. I'm trying to restart the same thread. T dot start again. Immediately we are going to get a runtime exception saying illegal thread state exception. Illegal thread state exception. Like this we are going to get. So calling start method at the beginning acceptable, but calling start method at a later point of time, so immediately we are going to get illegal thread state exception. So once a thread is started, we are not allowed to restart the same thread again. By mistake, if we are trying to restart the same thread again, we are going to get what? Illegal thread state exception, because we are calling start method at the wrong time. Because this thread already started, how you can restart? Like we are going to get illegal thread state exception. Have a look once. Observe carefully, sir. Here I'm taking here just have a look once, sir. Thread T is equal to new thread. Thread T is equal to new thread T dot start. Perfect, sir. It is acceptable. We are not going to get any exception or any error. Happily the code compiles fine. Have you observed, right? We are not going to get any error or any exception because it is the valid. Now T dot start again. Now I'm taking T dot start again. If I can take a T dot start again, now observe, the code compiles fine. There is no problem at all. But at runtime, we are getting what? Illegal thread state exception. We are going to get this one, sir. So we are calling start method at a wrong time. Are you getting? We are calling start method at a wrong time. That's why illegal thread state exception we are going to get. Similarly, let me go for one more example so that you will get much clarity, sir. Suppose assume I have one array list is there, sir. Array list of string L is equal to new array list of string is there. I created one array list object to hold string objects, right? Sir, L dot add of A, next L dot add of B, L dot add of B, L dot add of C. I added 3 string objects, right? Next my target is iterator. ITR is equal to iterator ITR is equal to L dot iterator. Iterator ITR is equal to L dot iterator. Now I got the iterator to get objects one by one. Next while okay, ITR dot has next. Sir, if the next element is available, can you please get that next element? Like sir, now system dot r obj is equal to ITR dot next. I'm asking, assume that, sir, ITR dot next. Now I got object. I want to remove this object. No problem, sir. ITR dot remove. Acceptable, sir. No problem itself. Sir, got the next object. Can you please remove that current object? Acceptable, right? By mistake, if I didn't call next. Sir, I didn't call next. You didn't get the object, but still you are calling remove method. So which object I have to remove? If you comment this line, you didn't get the object. Without getting the object, now you are asking about remove. Array, can you please remove the object? Array, which object I have to remove? I didn't have any object. You are calling remove method at wrong time. Immediately we are going to get illegal state exception. If you want, just have a look once, sir. Observe carefully about this code. Here, see this. See this code, sir. Import java.util start. Okay. Next, array list L is equal to new array list L dot add of A, B, C, iterator, while ITR dot has the next, like this I'm asking. So now here just obj is equal to itr dot next itr dot next. So just remove that object. System dot out dot println, system dot out dot println of L. Okay, now have a look once, sir. At the beginning, what is the content of the L? At the beginning, what is the content of the L? After this iterator, what is the content? Now have a look once, sir. The code compiles fine. Here the code compiles fine. Obj is equal to, here object obj is equal to like this. Now observe. Now have a look once. Happily the code compiles fine. Sir, at the beginning ABC, but now we are going to get just empty. Are you getting? At the beginning ABC, but now we are going to get after iteration, now we are getting empty, sir. Sir, now without asking next element, I'm asking about itr dot remove. Are which element I have to remove? So I am not calling next. Without calling next, how you can talk about remove? Are first to remove one object you have to get, but you didn't get that object, but simply remove meaningless. Are you getting? That's why you are calling this remove method at the wrong time. That's why we are going to get which exceptions are illegal state exception we are going to get. Observe carefully here. Here see this one. The code compiles fine, no problem, but at runtime, exception in thread main java.lang illegal state exception we are going to get. Okay, so if we are calling a method at the wrong time, inappropriate time, then we are going to get which exceptions are illegal state exception. Clear for all of you, right? So now the 10th one, assertion error. Okay, especially this error we are going to get while performing debugging whenever we are using assert statements. Remember that. Sir, assertion error is the child class of error. Assertion error is the child class of error. It is unchecked, sir. Sir, when assertion error will be raised? Whenever assert statement fails. Are you getting? While performing debugging, if assert statement fails, then we will get assertion error. Just basic ideas are. If you in the assertions concept we will discuss, but anyway for our certification it's not required. Just aware that. Here observe that. Suppose I'm taking int x is equal to 10. So if everything goes fine, here x value should be greater than 10. Assume that. So to check that condition, I'm taking assert of x should be greater than 10. Regarding assert of x should be greater than 10. Like this I'm taking, sir. So if everything goes fine, here x value should be what? Greater than 10. So this condition fails. Here this assert statement fails. Then immediately we are going to get assertion error. Okay, in the assertions concept I will explain, but certification point of view you can ignore. Just aware assertion error. If assert statement fails, then we are going to get what? Assertion error. Just observe carefully, sir. Here I am taking same example. Int x is equal to 10, sir. If everything goes fine, compulsory here x value should be greater than 10. If everything goes fine, here compulsory x value should be greater than 10. For that assert statement I am using, sir. Now my question is, observe very carefully about this. The code compiles fine. Okay, I'm trying to execute. Yes, think a bit very carefully. If I'm trying to execute, assert statement fails. What will happen? Can you please tell what will happen? Yes, whenever Java test, immediately we are going to get so assertion error. But here I have observed we are not getting any assertion error. The reason for this is by default assert statements will be ignored. By default assertions are disabled. That's why assert statement are not executed. I want to enable assertions. How you can do that? -EA option we require to use. Observe carefully, sir. Sir, here Java -EA test. -EA test. EA means what? Enable assertions. Now assert statements also will be executed. Okay, now we are going to get what? Assertion error. Regarding Java data like that, assertion error. So when assertion error will be raised, if assert statement fails, then we are going to get what? Assertion error. Clear up to this? Sir, let me summarize the top 10 exceptions whatever we discussed in the last videos. Observe carefully, sir. The first array index out of bounds exception we discussed. Whenever we are trying to access array element with out of range index, then we are going to get what? Array index out of bounds exception. Accessing array element with out of range index. Okay, well. Next, null pointer exception. If we are performing any operation on the null reference, okay, string s is equal to null s dot length, you are calling length method on the null reference. If you are trying to perform any operation on the null reference, then we are going to get what? Null pointer exception. Next, stack overflow error. Stack overflow error. If there is a recursive method call, then immediately stack overflow error we are going to get at runtime. Something like M1 calls M2, M2 calls M1. Then the cycle never going to end. At certain point stack is going to overflow. Then we will get what? Stack overflow error. Okay, like. Next, class cast exceptions are. So while performing typecasting, if JVM faces any problem, then we are going to get what? Class cast exception. Best example, child object, happily you can typecast to parent type, but parent object cannot be typecast to child type. If you are trying to typecast parent object to child type, then immediately we are going to get what? Class cast exception. Okay, well. Sir, next, no class def found error. No class def found error. Sir, who required dot class file? JVM required. Sir, JVM required some dot class file, but at runtime that dot class file is not available. Assume that at runtime that dot class file is not available. Then we are going to get what? No class def found error. Okay, like. Sir, next, exception in initializer error. Exception in initializer error. Okay, while performing static variable assignments under static blocks execution, if we are facing any problem, then we are going to get what? Exception in initializer error. Okay, like. Sir, what is the next one? Illegal argument exception, sir. A method we are calling with the illegal argument. Sir, set priority method for the thread. What is the valid range of thread priorities? 1 to 10. But I'm trying to set the priority 100 with 100 argument. I'm calling set priority method. Immediately we are going to get illegal argument exception. We are calling a method with the illegal argument. Then obviously illegal argument exception. Next, number format exception. Sir, I'm trying to convert string to the number, but the string internally not representing a number. Then obviously we are going to get what? Number format exception. Next, illegal state exceptions are, we are calling a method at a wrong time. Then we are going to get illegal state exceptions. So if you are having something like on the sleeping person, you can call wake up method. But on the dead person, how you can call wake up method? Immediately we are going to get illegal state exception. Sir, that is we are calling at a wrong time a method to indicate that illegal state exception will be there. Sir, next, assertion error. While performing debugging, if assert statement fails, then we are going to get what? Assertion error. That's all, sir. If any person is asking in the interview room, do you know, can you please explain some commonly raised exceptions in your previous project or whatever exceptions you know? Sir, immediately you have to tell these exceptions with examples. Definitely interview person is going to feel very happy. Clear for all of you, right? Even for your day-to-day coding also, this knowledge must be essential. Okay. Hello friends, in the last videos we covered very clearly about top 10 exceptions, right? So now I want to explain there are two new features which came as a part of 1.7 version. Okay, in the 1.7 version of Java there are two new features came with respect to exception handling. Let me talk about these two very helpful features. Okay, the first ones are try with the resources. Second one came multi-catch block. Regarding second one, multi-catch block. These are two new concepts which came in the 1.7 version. Compulsory you people should have clear clarity about these things, right? Okay, so now the first concept what I have to discuss is try with the resources. So now what is the need of this concept? What is the advantage of this concept? So until 1.6 version, sir, what is the traditional way? What problems we are facing? So how these problems overcome by using try with resources? I will explain. Just observe carefully, sir. Do you know in the part of try block, we are going to open several resources, maybe database connection or file resources or network related resources we are open at the part of try block. Sir, where we have to close these resources? Can you please tell? There is one special concept is there to close the resources which are open at the part of try block. What is that, sir? Finally block. Correct, right? Whatever resources we open at the part of try block, compulsory we require to close inside finally block. Okay. Now let me go for a small example until 1.6 version. What is the way? Here I open. I'm taking buffered reader br is equal to null. I'm taking, sir. Just I'm declaring buffered reader resource, buffered reader br. Now try in that, sir, br is equal to new buffered reader of new file reader of input dot txt. Like this I'm taking, sir. Okay, that's all. So I open reader for input.txt. Okay, now read the data, sir, based on our requirement, use br to read the data. Sir, just a pseudo code I'm telling, sir. That's all. I open br. What is the BR, sir? BR means what? Buffered reader resource I created. I open buffered reader resource based on our requirement. Okay, use BR to read the data. Now, sir, any IO exception is coming. Any exception is going to come. Mostly we are performing IO operations. IO exception may come. Now here corresponding handling code I'm taking, sir. Corresponding handling code I'm taking. Catch. Sir, now try catch and then finally. Okay. Inside finally block, what I have to take is if br not equal to null. If br not equal to null, then br dot close. Can you please close buffered reader? That's all, sir. This is the style what we have until 1.6 version. Are you getting? Whatever the resource you open, that resource we closed where? Inside finally block. Okay, that's all it is. I don't think you are facing some difficulty to understand this one, sir. Okay, you won't feel any difficulty, any complexity to understand this one. Okay, but here I can tell there are two problems are there in this approach. I mean, there are two problems are there in this approach. To overcome these problems, we should go for try with the resources. Okay, like what problems are there, sir? Problem number one, sir, whatever resources we opened at the part of try block, compulsory we have to close where? Inside finally block. So we should close. If you are not going to close, one resource may be wasted. Regarding one resource may be blocked. Compulsory we require to close. So who is the responsible to close? Programmer only. Inside finally block. So means that you are keeping gun on the programmer's head, saying, hey, whatever resource you opened at the part of try block, compulsory you have to close. You should close inside finally block. So it is the mandatory activity to the programmer. Means that so compulsory, so complexity of the programming is going to be increases. Remember this? So we should do that activity extra. Complexity of the programming is going to be increases, right? Next, compulsory we should write finally block to close the resources. To close the resources, use and leave not going to work. So compulsory we should close each and every resource. Finally block you should write length of the code. Length of the code is going to increase. Length of code is going to increase. Readability by default will be down. Remember this one. Length of the code will be increases. Readability by default will be down. Okay. I hope it is very clear for you people. So you can easily understand this, right? Okay. Now to overcome these problems in 1.7 version, try with the resources concept came. Now immediately you may ask, sir, once I am showing the same example with the try with the resources, then how much benefit we are going to get because of this new feature, then you can able to understand. Very simple, sir. So the biggest advantage of try with the resources is, what the advantage is, whatever resources we open at the part of try block, we are not required to close explicitly. Automatically the resources will be closed. We are not required to close explicitly. That is the biggest advantage of try with the resources. Remember the finally block we are not required to write. Then automatically complexity of the programming is going to be reduced. Length of the code is going to be reduced. Obviously readability by default is going to be improved, sir. Sir, can you please explain with an example? Same example with the try with the resources. Observe from 1.7 version. How my style of programming, sir? Very simple. Try. Here I am taking try block. Which resource you want? Okay. Buffered reader BR is equal to new buffered reader of new file reader of input dot txt. Input dot txt. Okay, like this I'm taking, sir. Sir, try with resources. Do you know the syntax is something like try of R. Observe carefully, sir. Try of R like this. This R itself is resource. Okay, R itself is what? Resource, right? Now this total thing is treated as resource. Try, sir, within bracket buffered reader. Okay, now use BR based on our requirement. Based on our requirement. Okay, like sir, do you know we are not required to close BR explicitly once the control reaches end of try block, either normally or abnormally, either with exception or without exception. Sir, once the control reaches end of try block, BR will be closed automatically. We are not required to close. Observe this one, sir. Once control reaches end of try block, automatically BR will be closed. And we are not required to close explicitly. Observe a bit very carefully, sir. So what is the biggest advantage of try with resources is, whatever resources you open at the part of try block will be closed automatically. We are not required to close explicitly. Okay, remember. Now I am taking, sir, catch block, sir, IO exception. If you are getting any exception, okay, can you please write the corresponding handling code. Sir, can you please confirm, is it required to write finally block? You respond. Is it required to write finally block? No. Because we are already closed. We are already closed. Once the control came to end of try block, either normally or abnormally, either without exception or with exception, some way, once a try block completed, then automatically, yes, the PR will be closed. Automatically, we are not required to close. Okay. So finally block, in this scenario, we are not required to write. That is the biggest advantage of try with the resources. So first advantage, what is the first advantage? We are not required to close resources explicitly. Complexity of the programming is going to be reduced. Regarding complexity of programming will be reduced. We are not required to write finally block explicitly. Our job automatically performed by try with resource syntax only. Complexity is not there. Next, we are not required to write finally block. Length of the code. Length of code. Length of code will be reduces. Length of the code will be reduced. Readability by default will be improved. Readability of the code by default will be improved. This is the advantage of try with the resources. Remember this. I hope everyone can able to understand, right? But n number of doubts you may have. Sir, what about these resources? Can I take multiple resources or not? Sir, somewhere I heard these are final. What it means? Like multiple things, multiple conclusions are there. Those things I will explain. But as of now, better to get basic idea. What is the need of try with the resources? So until 1.6 version, we should close the resources which are open at the part of try block inside finally block. Complexity increases, length of the code is going to increase, readability will be down. To overcome this problem, try with the resources came in 1.7 version. What is the syntax for try with the resources? Try, this is the resource. The biggest advantage of try with resources is once a try block completed, automatically these resources will be closed. We are not required to close explicitly. Clear? Are you getting right? So what advantages? So what is the advantage? What the problems with the old approach? What advantage with the new approach? So the things are very clear, not required to keep much explanation. Okay? Sir, in the last videos, we covered about the first enhancement came in the 1.7 version with respect to exception handling, try with resources. Now the second one, sir, have a look once, multi-catch block. What is that? Can you please spell out, sir? Multi-catch block. The catch block that can handle multiple exceptions, multiple different type of exceptions. So we can handle by using single catch block. That is the specialty of multi-catch block. What it means? Observe carefully, sir. Until 1.6 version, how the coding style, what problem is there, how you can overcome this problem by using this syntax, you should aware. Suppose, observe carefully, sir. Try, I'm taking, try block, some code is there. Sir, catch, arithmetic exception is there. Now, handling code is E dot print stack trace. Assume just E dot print stack trace. Basic idea say I'm taking, this is E dot print stack trace. Now, catch, null pointer exception is there, sir. Catch null pointer exception, E dot print stack trace. E dot print stack trace, like this I'm taking, catch. Now, sir, catch, okay. Now my next requirement is, okay, something like, sir, class cached exception I'm taking. Sir, system.out.println, E dot get message. E dot get message, like this I'm taking, sir. Next, catch block IO exception is coming. Assume if IO exception, what I'm trying to take, sir, system.out.println E dot get message. E dot get message, like this I'm taking. Okay, sir, how many catch blocks are there? Can you please tell how many catch blocks are there? 4 catch blocks. The first catch block meant for arithmetic exception. Second catch block meant for null pointer exception. Third one class cast exception. Fourth one IO exception. Now, if you observe very carefully, what is the handling code for arithmetic exception? E dot print stack trace. What is the handling code for null pointer exception? E dot print stack trace. Array for arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, same handling code is there. Even though you have same handling code, compulsory 2 different catch blocks you have to take because exceptions are different. Okay, same way class cast exception. Okay, SOP of E dot get message. E dot get message. Sir, SOP of E dot get message, IO exception. For class cast exception, IO exception. For class cast exception, IO exception. Do you know E dot get message, E dot get message is there? Okay, like E dot get message. Sir, even handling code is the same. Handling code is the same, but catch blocks are different. Are you getting that? Because different exceptions compulsory required to write multiple catch blocks only. So the problem until 1.6 version is, even though handling code is the same, if exceptions are different, for every exception separate catch block we have to write. Okay, so obviously length of the code is going to increase, readability by default will be down. Okay, to overcome this problem, one beautiful concept came. What is that concept? Is multi catch block. Are you getting multi catch block? In which version it came, sir? 1.7 version. How it is going to simplify our life? Very simple. If it is 1.7 version, try. I'm taking, sir. Try code. Okay. Now arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, sir, handling code is the same. Now combined these 2 catch blocks into a single catch block, because handling code is the same. Now catch, observe very carefully, sir, catch either arithmetic exception or new syntax, either arithmetic exception or null pointer exception. So either arithmetic exception or null pointer exception. Now E dot print stack trace. E dot print stack trace. Okay, like similarly catch. Okay, sir, class cast exception or IO exception. Class cast exception or IO exception. Then automatically E system dot out dot println E dot get message. E dot get message like this I'm taking, sir. Now have you observed? So the first 2 catch blocks handling code is the same. Combine these 2 catch blocks into a single catch block. So a single catch block that can handle multiple types of exceptions, multiple different types of exceptions, right? This is called multi catch block. Now the last 2 catch blocks I'm combining into a single catch block because handling code is the same. Okay, now only 2 catch blocks are enough if it is the 1.7 version. Obviously length of the code is going to be reduced, readability by default will be improved. This concept is nothing but, what is this concept, sir? Can you please spell out? What is this concept? Multi catch block, sir, which came in which version? 1.7 version. Are you feeling comfortable? If you feel comfortable, I will go for a small example. Sir, now I hope it's very clear for you people what is multi catch block. Let me go for a small executable program. Observe carefully, sir. Here I am taking class test. Okay, public static void main method string array args. Public static void main string array args. Take a bit very special care. I want to go for executable program for multi catch block. Sir, try block I'm taking. Try string. Here just observe system.out.println 10/0. So which exception will be raised? Arithmetic exception. SOP of 10/0 means arithmetic exception. Now here string yes is equal to null. I'm taking null system.out.println yes dot length. Yes dot length like this I'm taking. So there are two possible exceptions. One is null pointer exception. The second one is arithmetic exception. Sir, my requirement is I want to write a catch block that can handle both exceptions. How you can? Very simple. Catch, arithmetic exception or null pointer exception. Catch, arithmetic exception or null pointer exception. Here just I'm trying to take system.out.println of E. Can you please print E? That's all. Okay, end of this one, end of this. If you observe, this catch block can handle both arithmetic exception, null pointer exception. If any exception will come, no problem at all. The same catch block is the responsible to handle, sir. But only these two. Remember, if I run this code, first here only arithmetic exception is coming. Now the control will come to this place. Sir, this part is not going to execute. So it should be in the position to handle arithmetic exception. Okay, let me cross check. Have a look once. Same example, sir. I typed already. Have you observed, right? Okay, sir, it is the same example, right? Okay, sir, now system.out.println 10/0, either arithmetic exception or null pointer exception, SOP of E, like this I'm taking, sir. Sir, now here my requirement here is, let me, sir, compile this code. Happily the code compiles fine. Let me run this code. Have you observed? Sir, now I'm getting arithmetic exception division by 0 because of this SOP of E. So it is very clear, whenever arithmetic exception is coming, immediately we are in the position, sir, this catch block can handle that. Okay, because of this SOP of E, now I'm seeing java.lang.arithmetic exception division by 0. It's a very clear, sir. Sir, now the next, suppose if I comment this line, this line, now null pointer exception is going to come. Is that null pointer exception this catch block can handle or not? I want to check. Here observe, let me comment SOP of 10/0. Okay, well, sir, now which exception will be raised? Please confirm. Now which exception will be raised? The raised exception is null pointer exception. For the null pointer exception, this catch block, is it going to handle or not? Let me save, let me compile. Yes, sir, let me run this code. What is the exception we are going to get? Java.lang.null pointer exception. So this catch block can handle both arithmetic exception and the null pointer exception. So practical example, how you can write a multi-catch block. Okay, a single catch block that can handle multiple exceptions. Okay, well, sir, there is a small twist is there while using the syntax. What is that syntax? Observe, what is the twist, right? Suppose I'm taking catch block. Observe very carefully. Either arithmetic exception is coming or exception is coming. Okay, now system.out.println of E, like this I'm taking, sir. Can you please observe very carefully? Here either arithmetic exception or exception. Sir, SOP of E, if you can take like this, compiler will give left and right. The reason for that is, if you are taking parent exception, it can handle arithmetic exception also. Then why you are specifying explicitly arithmetic exception? So in multi-catch block, there should not be any relation between exceptions, right? So one is parent, the second one is the child, or first one is the parent and then child. Such type of things immediately compile time error. Because the reason is, sir, for arithmetic exception is coming, this is the handling code. For exception is coming, the same, this is the handling code. Array exception can handle arithmetic exception also. Unnecessary, why you are taking like this? Are you getting? So in multi-catch block, there should not be any relation between exception types, parent to child or child to parent. By mistake, if there is a relation, immediately error, compile time error you are going to get. Sir, just observe this one, sir. Here I am taking arithmetic exception and then exception, sir. So what is the first one? Arithmetic exception. Second one, exception. Have a look once. Immediately, let me compile this code. immediately comparative method we are getting alternatives in a multi-catch statement cannot be related by subclassing. Alternatives in a multi-catch statement cannot be related by subclassing. This is the exception by default we are going to get, sir. So we can't, there should not be any child, parent to child relationship should not be there. So terminology is very clear. This is about multi-catch block. This new concept came in which version? 1.7 version, right? Clear? Sir, now I hope you people got basic idea about try with the resources. Sir, related to this, there are some important conclusions are there. Let me talk about these conclusions, right? Sir, the first conclusion, here observe, try with the resources. How many resources we can take? Is it only one or any number of resources we can take? Sir, simple answer. For try with the resources, you can take any number of resources, no problem, but all these resources should be separated with semicolon. Remember this one, sir, should be separated with semicolon. Now observe very carefully. Try, okay, resource 1, semicolon, resource 2, semicolon, resource 3. Like we can take any number of resources, no problem at all. Resource 1, resource 2 and resource 3. Any number of resources we can take, sir. Sir, can you please give an example? Very simple. Very simple, sir. Try. I'm taking. Here, I want to read the data from input.txt. I want to write to output.txt. One reader is required, one writer is required. Are you getting? Two resources are required to read data, to write data. To read the data, okay, file reader fr is equal to new file reader. File reader fr is equal to new file reader input.txt. Like this I took, sir. Sir, this is the first resource, semicolon. Now, what is the second resource? Print writer pw is equal to, sir, which is the best writer to write extra data? Print writer pw is equal to new print writer of output.txt. Print writer output.txt. Like this I'm taking, sir. So this is the second resource. So total how many resources I'm taking? First resource, second resource, and then, okay, like sir, this is. Now it's a very clear. So try with the resources. How many resources we can take? We can take any number of resources, but all these resources should be separated with semicolon. Clear for all of it? Conclusion 1. Sir, now second conclusion. Second one, sir. Whatever resources you are using with the try with the resources syntax, compulsory these resources should be auto closable resources. Are you getting what is this one, sir? Can you please spell out? Auto closable resources. Whatever resources we are using, the part of try block, all these resources should be auto closable resources. Then automatically closed, auto closable resources. Then immediately you may get that down. Sir, what is auto closable? Where is the auto clang resource? When we say that a resource is said to be auto closable, very simple, sir. The corresponding class should implement java.lang.autoclosable interface. Okay, a resource is said to be auto closable if and only if the corresponding class implements auto closable interface. Regarding that, if the corresponding class implements what? Auto closable interface, okay, that resource is said to be auto closable, right? Sir, in our last example, which resources we used? Have you observed? File reader I used. Next, print writer I used. Sir, these classes already implements java.lang.autoclosable. That's why, so we are not required to do anything. Sir, one very important specialty almost all database related resources, network related resources, file IO related resources already implements auto closable interface. So being a programmer, just we should aware this point, we are not required to do anything. Sir, observe a bit very carefully in the API. Have a look once. Sir, this is the API interface, java.lang.interface, auto closable. Auto closable. Okay, this is the interface, right? All known sub interfaces, all known implementation classes. If you observe how many implementation classes are there, just let me copy paste here. Sir, observe a bit very carefully about all these resources, right? Now, do you know, sir, all these resources are implementation classes only. You can take network related resources, file IO related resources, next and after that, you know, database related resources. All these things already implements auto closable. Being a programmer, we are not required to do anything, sir. Have you observed? Print writer. Have you observed, right? Print writer resource. Okay, like similarly file reader. I hope you can able to see, sir. Sir, this is the file reader resource, file writer resource. Are you getting? Filter input stream, like almost every database related, file IO related, network related, all these resources already implements auto closable. Being a programmer, we are not required to do anything, sir. Okay, well. Next, this interface introduced in 1.7 version. In which version, sir? This interface came in which version? 1.7 version, and it contains only one method. Close is the method. Public void close throws exception. Public void close throws exception. That's all. Sir, this is the only one method which is available. Okay, like any doubt? Is it clear for all of you, right? Not required to keep much explanation about this terminology, right? Okay. So this is the second conclusion what you people should aware. Sir, up to this we covered two conclusions about a try with resources. The third conclusion, sir. Sir, do you know whatever resource reference variables we used are implicitly final. Sir, what it means? Observe. Here I am taking file reader fr is equal to new file reader of input dot txt. Observe very carefully, sir. Here, which resource we are using? Can you please spell out which resource? File reader resource. What is the reference variable for this? Fr. So the biggest advantage, this fr will be closed automatically once the control reaches end of try block. Okay. Now, sir, who is the responsible to close? The syntax JVM automatically. So to do that, boss, within the try block, don't reassign this reference variable to any new resource. That means all resource reference variables are implicitly final. We can't perform reassignment for this resource reference variable inside try block. Have a look once. Here I am taking fr is equal to new file reader of abc dot txt. I am taking fr is equal to new file reader of abc dot txt. I am taking, sir. Do you know what is this one? What is this? I am trying to reassign sir this reference variable which is pointing to new resource. So it is a new resource. I am assigning reference variable with a new resource. Immediately compiler will give left and right. Hey, this reference variable is implicitly final. Within the try block, we are not required. We can't perform assignment. What is the problem? You may ask. The problem is fr initially pointing to input.txt. Input.txt. Sir, now fr is equal to new fr of abc.txt. Have you observed, right? Now it is pointing to abc.txt. At last, which one my JVM has to close? Either resource of input.txt or resource of abc.txt. It is always a problem. It's always a confusion. That's why this reference variable is always pointing to only one resource. By mistake, if you are trying to pointing to secondary resource, reassignment, immediately error we are going to get, sir. Compile time error, syntactical mistake. Now have a look once, sir. Same example, here see this one. Try file reader, fr is equal to new file reader, like this I'm taking, sir. So I'm not performing any assignment. Regarding reassignment is not there. Reassignment is not there, sir. Okay. Now have a look once, sir. Let me compile this code. Have a look once, sir. Let me compile. Happily the code is going to compile. So just one small thing. File not found exception must be. File not found exception must be. Okay. Safe sign throws exception. Throws exception, right? So now observe this one. There are no errors at all. There are no errors at all. Happily itself is acceptable, right? Okay. So there is no compile time error. There is no runtime exception. Okay, like it's a working, right? Now by mistake, if I'm trying to reassign that resource regarding fr, now onwards it is pointing to abc.txt. Sir, I'm trying to reassign fr. Sir, now observe a bit carefully. What will happen is auto closable resource fr may not be assigned. Auto closable resource fr may not be assigned. This is the error by default we are going to get. Okay, take a bit very special care. So means that all resource reference variables are implicitly final. We can't perform reassignment inside the try block. This is the next conclusion what you should aware. Clear for all of it? Third conclusion also. Now there is one more conclusion is there. What that conclusion is? Sir, observe carefully. This is the fourth conclusion, sir. Very important conclusion. Sir, just up to third one, resource reference variables are final. Okay, well. The next one, until 1.6 version, try block should be followed by either catch or finally. Correct, right? Try should be followed by either catch block or finally block. Try without catch or finally is invalid. Try without catch or finally is always invalid. Immediately error we are going to get compile time error. But from 1.7 version onwards, only try with the resource is always acceptable. Regarding, we are not required to write catch block. We are not required to write finally block. What is the advantage of this syntax is? Sir, the biggest advantage is even some exception is coming. Abnormal termination. But before abnormal termination, sir, this resource will be closed. That is the biggest advantage, right? So try without catch or finally. Happily we can write from which version onwards, right? 1.7 version onwards. In the last example, have you observed or not? This one I showed. If you want to observe, have a look once. This so I don't want to take this one. Okay, now observe. Just a try block with the resource. Only try block I took, sir. Where is the catch block? Where is the finally block? I'm not taking anything. Now let me compile this code. Happily the code compiles fine. Let me run this code. Sir, we are not facing any problem at all. This syntax itself is acceptable. Remember, right? Okay. So I hope everyone can able to understand the fourth conclusion. Okay. Try must be followed by either catch or finally until 1.6 version. Without catch or finally, try is not allowed. But from 1.7 version onwards, only try with resource is enough. Without catch or finally blocks. Okay, that's all. These are various important conclusions about try with resources. Can you please tell what is the biggest advantage of try with resources? We are not required to close the resources explicitly. Resources will be closed automatically. Complexity of the programming will be reduced. Finally block, we are not required to write. Length of the code is going to be decreases, readability will be improved. So until 1.6 version, finally block is a hero. But from 1.7 version onwards, because of try with resources, finally block will become 0. Remember this, because we are not required to write finally block. Sir, we are not required because try syntax only it is doing closing the resources. Finally block became 0 from which version onwards? 1.7 version onwards. Clear, right? Sir, up to this, it is very clear about try with resources. So try with resources concept came in which version? 1.7 version. Correct, right? 1.7. But in the 1.9 version, there is extra small facility added for this try with resources. What that facility is? Listen carefully, sir. Suppose I have one resource here, file reader FR. File reader FR is equal to new file reader of abc.txt. Assume that I have one resource is there, sir. Now here if I can take try of FR like this, immediately compile method we are going to get in 1.7 version. Remember this one. What the reason is, all resources whatever you want to use with the try, compulsory you have to declare this resource here only. Sir, already this resource is declared. Now I want to use already declared resources. Sorry man, not possible. Compulsory we should write in this style. What that style is? Try. Sir, file reader FR is equal to new file reader of abc.txt. Okay, like so in the try primary list only, compulsory we have to declare the resource. Sir, resource already declared, I want to use already declared resource. Sorry, this type of thing not possible in the 1.7 version, 1.8 version. Remember this one, sir. But in the 1.9 version, so already declared resources happily you can use, no problem at all. Sir, now file reader FR is equal to new file reader of input.txt. Okay, like similarly print writer PW is equal to new print writer of output.txt. Okay, like how many resources I open? Can you please tell? FR and then PW. Okay, 2 resources I open, sir. Now my requirement is try FR semicolon. What the next one, sir? PW. Okay, like happily you can write. So I'm not declaring the resources here. Already declared the resources we are using. This type of facility came from which version onwards? 1.9 version onward. But until 1.7, 1.8 version, this one is invalid. But from 1.9, happily this facility is there, sir. So this is extra added a small favor in 1.9 version for try with resources. Clear? Sir, up to this, it is very clear for you people what are new features which came in the 1.7 version with respect to exception handling. Try with resources. Second one, multi-catch block. Sir, now the next there are small 2 important words are there. Of course, we discussed in our last sessions which are very commonly asked in the interview room. That's why you people should have clarity, sir. What that is? One is exception propagation. Are you getting? Exception propagation. Sir, what is the meaning of exception propagation? Maybe a chance to ask this question. Okay, very simple, sir. Suppose I have one method is there, sir, M1 method. Observe very carefully. We discussed already, but this word we may not use. We didn't use. Observe. Sir, now M2 inside M1 I am calling M2 method. Inside M1 I am calling M2 method, right? Sir, now I am taking M2 method. Sir, inside M2 an exception raised. Observe very carefully, sir. An exception raised, sir. So, inside a method, if an exception raised, and if we are not handling, now this exception will be propagated to caller. Regarding this exception will be propagated to caller. Now, who is the responsible to handle that exception? Caller method is the responsible to handle this exception. Sir, this process is called exception propagation. Everyone can able to understand, right? Sir, inside a method, if an exception raised and if we are not handled that exception, now exception will be propagated to caller method. Sir, caller is responsible to handle that exception. This word is called exception propagation. Clear, right? Okay, propagating exception from one method to another method. Okay, well, sir, another word is the very common, rethrowing an exception. Throwing exception. It is also what is the meaning? What is the purpose of rethrowing an exception? What is the meaning of rethrowing an exception? Sometimes maybe a chance to ask in the interview room. That's why let me talk. Suppose I'm taking try system.out.println 10/0, sir. Can you please tell which exception will be raised? Respond. Which exception will be raised? SOP of 10/0. Arithmetic exception will be raised. Now I'm writing catch block, sir. Catch arithmetic exception E. Sir, handling code. But inside catch block, what I'm trying to take is throw new null pointer exception. Throw new null pointer exception. Sir, originally raised exception is arithmetic exception. Now inside catch block we are throwing which one, sir? Null pointer exception. Means that we are converting arithmetic exception to null pointer exception. Okay, so this type of thing is called rethrowing exception. Can you please observe that? Rethrowing exception. So where we can use this approach, right? Converting one exception type to another exception type. Maybe this type of exception. So for handling purpose, somewhere I may have some special code. That's why converting one exception to another exception. Sir, this process is called rethrowing an exception. Everyone can able to understand, right? These two words a bit important for the interview room. What is the first one? Exception propagation. What is the second one? Rethrowing an exception. These two words you should aware. Clear?